At Baker Boy, they only have one mission to put their heart and soul into everything they do while also preserving their finest traditions of their craft. By only utilizing authentic ingredients and time tested baking methods to produce delectable baking products we can all consume. Dustin Monkey is the company's marketing manager. He joined me this week to discuss their history, traditions, and culture, while also pulling back the curtain on his former career as a journalist and how that helps him in his current role. So, who's hungry? I'm Kevin McShann. Let's have this conversation. Justin, if you're ready, we'll welcome you to the show, and we're excited to talk about Baker Boy with you this morning and a little bit about your previous life as a journalist. So great to see you this morning, and thanks so much for being here.
I'm happy to be here. This is great.
So, Dustin, I know that before you entered life at Baker Boy, you spent some time in our lovely profession known as journalism, and you dabbled a little bit in government politics. So I'm just wanting to start you off by asking you if you could tell me a little bit about the interesting career transition you've made from journalism to eating donuts all day.
I don't say I eat donuts all day, but sometimes we definitely work hard to sell them all day. But yeah, I guess journalism. I went to school at Moorhead in Moorhead, Minnesota, at Minnesota State University, Moorhead. My intent was to be a sports journalist. I wanted to be that guy on NBA sidelines and NFL sideline, NFL in the booth at NFL games, writing stories. That was my goal, going into college, and got a little bit of a taste of doing that, not at the pro level, but at the pretty good college levels. Started my career as a sports reporter. Had a great internship at the Forum newspaper in Fargo, where I was able to snag a ton of amazing interviews from Tommy Lasorda to Daryl Strawberry, the Roger Maris family. I had some great stories there during my college years, and then I went to work for a newspaper owned by that company here in my home area of Dickinson, North Dakota, where Baker Boy is located. And I ended up being the sports editor for my hometown Dickinson Press for almost 7 years. The newspaper industry, I kind of got my job, and then the recession hit, and newspaper jobs started to go away. I had offers from throughout the country to go move to places like Casper, Cheyenne, Rapid City, just a little bit bigger markets, obviously not huge markets, but had some really good opportunities there. But I turned them down to stay closer to home, and because the money was good too. My company I was working for made paying us a priority when some journalists weren't getting paid very good salaries, and convinced me to stay. And then I set my sights on my goals on becoming the editor of that newspaper, and which I did in 2013. I became the managing editor of the Dickinson Press, and that was right in the heart of the Bakken oil boom. We had some amazing journalists. We turned our sights on recruiting some really good young outstanding journalists, and we had some excellent journalists come through here. Many of whom are still in the profession today at larger newspapers. Some still within that company of Forum Communications, and we won some big time state awards. We won some national awards for our reporting, our investigative reporting on both the oil industry and on our local university had a bit of an issue with their foundation, and we won some awards on that for our coverage of that, and that was it was great. But then as you grow up, times change, and I got a family and had a kid, and journalism is not always conducive to family life. It's long hours, strange hours. Pay doesn't jump up all that fast. So at the urging of my wife, I decided to start looking outside, both inside and outside of the industry, for different opportunities. And I did find an opportunity with the North Dakota Department of Agriculture that took me out of Dickinson, and we moved to Bismarck for a little bit, which is the capital here in North Dakota. Enjoyed the people there, didn't so much enjoy the job. I found out government is not for everybody, and it sure wasn't for me. I'm more of somebody who really likes to get things done and get answers fast, and you don't get that in the government. You don't do that in the government. Things move very slowly. I guess that was in March of 16. That was in November of 16. I went to the government. In March of 18, I came back here to Dickinson to work for Baker Boy. I knew the president of the company. We'd gone to church together, known him for on the side, known him for several years through my position at the Dickinson Press. Knew he was a great guy. Knew he ran a great company. And it wasn't until I walked through the door for my interview that I realized how great of a company this really was and how big things were happening here. And so that transition it's a weird transition, but like many journalists, I've moved my way into the world of marketing, and I'm very happy about it. So I miss journalism sometimes, especially when I read newspapers and read stories, and I kind of see some of the stuff that they write, and I'm like, gosh, what are you doing? And why would you write that? But or see stories that go missed. They missed out on a story, or they didn't quite tell it the way that I knew it was actually happening. So that makes you miss it sometimes. But at the end of the day, I'm home at 5:30 with my kids, and I'm not trying to get a paper out on deadline. So that's always good.
Ah, yes, journalism deadlines. I know all about those.
Yeah.
I'm sure you don't miss that part, huh?
Sometimes, but not always.
Yeah, I can relate for sure. Just before we talk about Baker Boy, I'm just wondering your thoughts on how you think the journalism industry has changed. We talked in your first answer about the changing dynamics in the print industry, so I'm just interested in your perspective industry-wide on how the profession has changed.
I'd like to start micro before I go macro on that. Just in our community here. When I left the newspaper here, it was a 6-day-a-week newspaper. We never published on Mondays. Ever since the paper started way back in the day, the community is just kind of too small for that. And then, it was also a thing where back in the day they didn't publish on Sunday. They didn't want people working on Sundays, right? So they never published on Mondays. Well, over time, since I left, they went from 6 days to 5 days to 2 days, I believe 3 days, and now they're a weekly newspaper. The digital presence has grown, thankfully for them, but we're seeing it in North Dakota here. Our newspapers have hung on really well in the changing face of the industry. But even our largest newspaper in the state is eliminating, the largest newspapers in the state are eliminating days of print right now and going to basically digital. As far as a macro sense, it's journalism is different right now. It's different than it was when I got into it. It's different than it was when I got out of it, only four years ago. It's I see some things being written, and I really do on every side of the coin, right? On both sides of the coin here, and I really am a little concerned with the direction of American journalism. Even at the smallest base levels here in small communities. I know, community journalism is there's so many things you can talk about with it. I think community journalists are probably the most unbiased of all journalists out there, because they are, they're writing for their audience that they know wants to, what they want to read and how they want to read it. And they know that they don't have any room for injecting any sort of agenda or bias into journalism. And that's something you're not seeing at the large levels, at the high levels. And that's concerning to me. I think it concerns a lot of people. It's one of the most disrespected professions out there right now because of that. I think there is an opportunity here within the next year or two to really flip that on its head, but it's probably not going to happen. So I really would like to see journalism kind of. There's always been bias in journalism. Let's not kid ourselves. But really would like to see some of the big boys take a page out of the little guys' books and start just telling the story again, and not injecting any sort of agenda or bias so much into it as they do, whether that's on in like written print form, TV, whatever it is. I think we all kind of miss that, that little unbiased, as unbiased as you can get. I think we all kind of miss that.
Yeah, objective journalism, especially in bigger media, is hard to find sometimes, isn't
it? Yeah, it definitely is. It doesn't. I don't think a person can find it, honestly.
Hey, let's shift gears and talk about Baker Boy, your current 9 to 5, which is a premium bakery manufacturer of bakery products for your clients. So can you tell me a little bit more about the business model of Baker Boy?
Sure. We manufacture about 300 different products for food service, primarily supermarkets, C-stores and retail bakeries, private bakeries, and then we also do a lot of work for private label customers. I can't share who those people are, who those customers are, but some large private labels too. We do everything. Donuts are what we really hang our hat on right now. It's what our marketing push really is. What you see here on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and everything like that. But we do have some really premium products in all sides of the bakery realm, so to speak, whether it's buns and rolls, or we have our number one selling product right now is a square sandwich croissant, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a square croissant, and it's phenomenal. That's our number one selling product. We're known throughout our market region for our cinnamon sweet rolls. We have different icings and schmears and glazes that we sell as well, and everything from garlic toast and breadsticks, everything like that. But the company is a family-owned company, which is hard to find these days in food manufacturing. The Mose family owns the company. It started in 1955 in Hebron, North Dakota, which was the hometown of our founder, Marvin Mose. Couple years later, he moved the business here to Dickinson because it was a larger community, growing community. And Baker Boy functioned as an in-store, just a basic storefront bakery for about 20 years after that. And after that time, Marvin did several things. He had a pizza house, he had a diner, he had a place called the Lunchbox, which was basically the same concept as Subway is now. It was a QSR, quick serve sandwich shop. And it was almost probably 10 years before its time. Over time, he started a chain of donut shops. The donut shops were called the Donut Hole, which was a brand name that we still own and we still use today on our thaw and serve fully finished donuts, on our individually wrapped donuts, and as a bakery case concept for C-stores. But Marvin broke that. Marvin and his son Guy, who runs the company today as president, Marvin and Guy really broke the Donut Hole out into a franchise, went to about 25 different stores throughout the upper Midwest here and into Montana. And that all ended in the early 2000s, and Marvin passed away, and they began focusing the company's efforts on on being a manufacturer of premium products. So between 2004 and today, we've grown by leaps and bounds. We've expanded the footprint of the plant to about 172,000 square feet of working space. That includes our freezer space. That includes our second levels to the plant and everything like that. But we've grown by leaps and bounds, and sales have, gone from, we look at our sales back when they first started that transition, and we look at our sales now, and it's hard to believe we've made that such a large jump during that time. And we did it all through the face of adversity with, North Dakota at one point having, I think, 0.8% unemployment during the Bakken oil boom. So most bakery manufacturers and most food plant manufacturers, their pay is relatively low. Well, Baker Boy, we have to compete with oil companies on our pay. We have to compete with, manufacturers of steel and things like that here in our community. And we have a group of manufacturers here in our community that are national companies, and we have to compete with those folks for the best people. So we have to pay a pretty good salary for folks to come and work here, which is a good thing. Obviously, it benefits us. It benefits our community. We get better people, and it's really paid off in the long run. But Baker Boy is, we're still a growing company. This year we are expanding our footprint into what I call SEC country. So the SEC football conference. We had never been in that part of the country before this year. The Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, that area. We are heading down there now with a company we're selling donuts into. Couple distributors down there. That is going to be big for us. We are out in the Northeast. We have donuts being sold in the New York City area, which is something 5 years ago was would be probably an unreal goal for us. But times change, and we've really stuck a lot of money into the donut line. $12 million investment into donuts, which included automated filling technology, which we can talk about a little bit too. Our number one donut product right now, the Magic Ring filled donuts, which is a ring donut with filling inside of it. We're one of the only places in the world where you can get those. And we're one of only 2 companies in North America, and we were the first to manufacture those. So we have a lot of opportunity out there right now, and even through the face of this COVID-19 pandemic, we are making strides to grow our footprint and really reach out into new markets.
And I know that you're the marketing manager for the company. So how your experience as a journalist has helped you in sort of formulating relationships and helping the company grow their marketing and advertising strategy?
So this one kind of comes from my wife, and she always said, she goes, you always would have made a pretty good sales guy. When I was in journalism, I was on the editor side of the coin, but for a short time, my wife actually worked for us in sales. She sold ads for us. And she always told me, she goes, I think you'd be better at this than I would. You've got a salesman's mentality. And I said, yeah, I probably do. Well, I kind of took that mentality and helped bring that, through in what I do here at Baker Boy, but also, the journalism front helps you learn how to talk to people. Helps you learn how to have let's have this conversation.
Thanks for the shameless plug. No.
But it's true. You learn how to do stuff like that. You learn how to just sit down and, for lack of a better term, you learn how to BS with people, and that's sales in general. You learn how to find out what their needs are, what their wants are, and see if you as your company can handle that. And it doesn't hurt too that I do develop a lot of our marketing strategy, but also I design a lot of our marketing too, and I work with our agencies to design our marketing. Well, it helps that I have that newspaper background with the knowledge of all those, like say Adobe InDesign, Illustrator, Photoshop, all that stuff was able to bring that into the fold here too, and that really helps when you make a transition like I did from journalism to to marketing. Having all those tools in your toolbox really does help.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, you talked a little bit about this earlier, but I'm wondering how your marketing and advertising strategy has shifted because of the pandemic.
So, interestingly, before I got here, we really didn't sell nationally. We were regional, about an 18, 19 state footprint. Um, when I came on board, my new boss, my direct boss, his name is Craig Van Hefty. He's our director of sales and marketing. He's been with the company for about 9 years now. And Craig and I sat down, and he said it was his goal to really shift us toward a more national outreach. And we were going to do that. We needed to do that through some marketing. Well, we started on that by reaching out to our trade publications in the supermarket, convenience store, and food service industries. We were able to formulate some relationships there. We did a couple of national shows. We went to the IDDBA show. We went to the NACS show, which is the largest convenience store show in the country. And then this year, 2020, interestingly enough, our company's fiscal year starts in April. So I was in Minneapolis on a photo shoot for new products when everything started getting shut down. I was in my hotel when they canceled the NBA season. I was watching it on TV when Rudy Gobert tested positive and NBA season's canceled. Go to photo shoot the next day. NCAA tournament's supposed to start. We're watching a game, or it was like the conference tournaments, or I guess whatever. We're watching a game on the big TV there. They had in the photography studio. Those guys walk off the court, and that was the point where okay, I'm here at this photo shoot for probably nothing right now because everything's going to change. Well, for the first couple months, we took it pretty easy because everything shut down. Restaurants shut down. Restaurants are a big customer of ours. Restaurants shut down. Supermarkets, thankfully, skyrocketed in bakery sales. Donut sales in supermarkets hurt because with COVID, nobody wanted to take their hands and reach into a bakery case anymore. But baked breads, buns, rolls, those were coming at a premium. So we were able to really focus on our efforts on selling those. I mean, we took some of our restaurant style buns. We make hamburger buns that are primarily for restaurants. When you go to a nice restaurant, sometimes you get a really nice hamburger bun with your burger. We make those. And we decided, because sales immediately started falling on those, we're going to just flip the script and we're going to sell those into supermarkets as a restaurant style bun. We put labels in the case, and we were able to get those sales back up a little bit through some of our supermarket customers. Around May, we started to decide that we got to do something differently. And in April and May, we began a series of phone calls with our customers, mostly K through 12 school orientated, saying, what do you need from us? And what we found out was touch points. Eliminate touch points wherever you can. They don't want to have, anybody. They want kids to be able to grab something without touching 4 other pieces of food. So probably something that should have been done anyway, but COVID really kind of pushed that forward fast. And what we decided to do was we launched a line of individually wrapped donuts in response to COVID. So our marketing on this has been very different than what we usually do. We're really focused a lot on social media, getting the word out as fast as we can. We are doing some work again now with our trade publications to get the word out to our C-stores, to the food service customers, supermarket customers. But basically what we're doing is as much as we can, and I'll just say it, as affordably as we can, because just like anybody else, our sales have dropped a little bit. We're probably in a better position than most manufacturers, honestly. I mean, sales haven't fallen off the cliff like I know some have. We've been able to keep up in our plant, thankfully. COVID hasn't affected us too much, and that's been really helpful. But we're kind of just now getting back into that mode that we were going to get into at the turn of our fiscal year in April when everything shut down. I mean, we were going to go whole hog. We had 2 national shows scheduled that got canceled. So our entire marketing strategy got flipped on its head. We had to re-examine everything. Where do we cut costs? Where do we focus our dollars? And what do we do to make sure we reach as many people as we can affordably? And I think we've done a nice job of that.
Well, cheers to being nimble, huh?
Exactly.
Hey, I'm going to end on this. I'm just curious for you personally, what's the best part of working at Baker Boy? And when you're not at work, what piques your interest on a personal level?
Oh, the best part about working here is the food.
I figured you might say that.
And the people. I mean, we 2 years in a row we were awarded. We have a company I used to work for has a business magazine called Prairie Business, and 2 years in a row, Baker Boy has been awarded the 50 best places to work through Prairie Business, and that's a credit to the folks that we work with here. I mean, all the way from our office to our plant, we have a great group of 225 employees. They make great products. It's a big family is what it is. And it's hard to do that when you have 225 people, but I can walk out into our plant and I see people that I grew up with. I see people that, I've known for years, and people I've gotten to know here that are great folks, and just of different people around town from different cultures and everything like that. I mean, one of my good friends in the office here is a refugee from Rwanda. He's an accountant for us, and it's just amazing, just the different people you get to learn about and get their stories. And yeah, by the way, we also get some pretty good bakery products while we're at it.
I would hope so.
First crack at donuts. But to answer the second part of your question, my free time, this summer we're going to do some traveling. Well, our travel plans obviously shifted because of COVID, so we bought a camper. And my kids and my wife grew up camping. She's from Montana. She grew up going to the mountains and everything like that. So this year we decided to buy a camper of our own, and we've made good use of it. And we went all over. We have a large lake here in western North Dakota called Lake Sakakawea. It's one of the largest man-made lakes in the world. And it's beautiful up there. And we go to the lake, and we go to the mountains in Montana. Right next door to Dickinson is Medora and Theodore Roosevelt National Park. So we go there. I also grew up on a farm south of town here. So we go out to our farm, and we do some work out there, and we take the camper out there and stay for the weekend and things like that. But it's camping. We just enjoy getting out and doing stuff. I have a 5-year-old and a 19-month-old son, both boys, and they're handfuls. So most of my free time is spent with those guys, trying to wrangle them as best as I can. But it's all a great fun, and we have a great time. And I'd love to do a little more writing. I did some writing on the side for a small publication here for about a half a year. And then my youngest son was born, so I kind of had to shift away from that to help with him. Hopefully get back into doing some side job writing in the near future. I have a couple projects that I'm debating on working on independently that I could sell as a freelancer. But right now my focus is on my family and on my job here at Baker Boy, because obviously focus has to be on your job, obviously, but we're in a heck of a period right now, so we have to definitely focus on our efforts here at work. So that's kind of what I do on the side when I'm not working.
Hey, fantastic, Dustin. Thank you for making me so hungry this morning.
Absolutely.
I want to thank you for spending a few minutes with me, talking to me about Baker Boy and your former or current passion as a journalist. And I want to thank you for your time this morning. It's most appreciated.
All right. Well, thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. This has been really fun.
Fantastic, Dustin. We're done.